There's this quiet kind of frustration that creeps in when you start expecting people to treat you the way you treat them. You give, you show up, you stay honest, and for some reason, you assume that energy will come back around in the same form. But then someone flakes or lies or simply doesn't care as deeply as you do, and you're suddenly left there wondering, why can't people just act right? That question, the one we ask after every disappointment, is one Marcus Aurelius answered nearly 2,000 years ago. He said, "Today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." It sounds harsh, like the opening line for someone who's given up on humanity, but it's actually the opposite. Marcus wasn't trying to turn cold, he was trying to protect his peace. See, what he's really saying is stop expecting the impossible. Stop expecting people to share your level of awareness, your self-control, your discipline, your sense of duty, because they won't, and they never promised they would. That's the unspoken rule behind so much pain, the invisible contract you think exists between you and everyone else. The one that says, "I'd never do that to you, so you shouldn't do that to me." But that contract only exists in your mind. You signed both names on it and felt betrayed when the other person broke a deal they never knew they were a part of. The Stoics, especially Marcus, believed that peace begins when you stop trying to control what you can't. And the hardest thing to stop trying to control is people. Their words, their tone, their consistency, their energy. We spend so much of our emotional lives trying to manage things that were never ours to manage. Marcus wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That line gets quoted like a motivational poster, but it's really a warning. He's saying, the second you hand your peace over to someone else's behavior, you've already lost it. Because people are unpredictable. They're messy, emotional, inconsistent, and sometimes just selfish. And expecting them not to be is like getting mad at the rain for being wet. Now, that doesn't mean you stop caring or stop holding standards. It just means you stop assuming everyone else will live by yours. You might think honesty is everything. Someone else might think keeping the peace is more important than telling the truth. You might think showing up every time is love. Someone else might think giving space is love. Neither person is necessarily wrong. They're just following different definitions of what good looks like. Marcus often reminded himself that everyone acts according to what they think is good. Even the people who hurt you are doing what seems right to them in the moment. He wrote, "When someone does you wrong, it's because they are mistaken about what is good and bad." That's not meant to excuse behavior, it's meant to free you from resentment. Because once you understand that people aren't acting against you, they're just acting for themselves, it stops feeling so personal. That's the key. Most of the time, it's not personal. It feels personal because it violates your standards. But in their mind, they might not even realize there was a standard. We forget that everyone's playing a different game with different rules, and every time you expect them to play by yours, you set yourself up to lose. You can see this in everyday life. You text someone right away and they leave you on read. You remember their birthday and they forget yours. You show effort and they show up with excuses, and it drives you crazy. Not because it's inconsiderate, but because it breaks the unwritten rule of fairness you've been living by. But here's the hard truth. That rule doesn't exist outside your own head. And once you accept that, you stop being so easily disappointed. You stop demanding emotional symmetry from a world that was never built to give it. Marcus also compared humanity to a body. He said we're like hands and feet, parts of one whole made to cooperate. When one hand slips, the other doesn't get mad at it. You just adjust and keep moving. That's how he thought about people. Not as enemies to correct, but as fellow body parts trying to do their best with limited coordination. And some are clumsier than others. It's a humbling way to look at things, to realize you're not the standard for how people should be. But the truth is, you've probably disappointed people too, in ways you didn't even notice. You've probably failed someone's expectations, not out of malice, but out of being human. And if you can forgive yourself for that, maybe you can start forgiving others too. The irony of expecting too much from people is that it often makes you colder, not wiser. You start seeing disappointment as a proof that caring is a mistake. You start lowering your empathy, building walls, telling yourself you're just done with people. But Marcus would say that's a kind of emotional laziness, closing off instead of understanding. He didn't advocate apathy, he advocated clarity. He wanted to see people as they truly were, flawed, emotional, inconsistent, and love them anyway. Because when you expect imperfection, you stop being shocked by it. And when you stop being shocked by it, you can finally respond with calm instead of anger. You can finally stop saying, "I'd never do that," and start asking, why does their mind tell them that is right? That shift from judgment to curiosity is where peace lives. So maybe peace doesn't come from expecting less of other people, but from understanding them more. From realizing that your disappointment isn't always a reflection of their failure. Sometimes it's a reflection of your attachment to an unrealistic world. One where everyone thinks like you, feels like you, and chooses like you. But that world only exists in your imagination. In the real one, people will fail you. They'll forget things that matter to you, they'll act selfishly, they'll misunderstand you, misjudge you, and sometimes just not care. And yet, you can still choose to act with integrity. Not because they do, but because that's who you are. Don't wait for people to behave right before you do. Don't make your peace conditional on someone else's growth. Just be the example. Because when you stop expecting everyone to live like you finally start living free. And maybe that's what real maturity is. Realizing that your standards are for you, not the world. That you can't control how others love, care, or show up. But you can control whether their lack of it poisons your character. And that's something Marcus understood better than anyone. Peace isn't built by fixing people, it's built by letting them go. By doing what's right even when no one else does. By holding your standards quietly without turning them into weapons. Because at the end of the day, you don't find peace by demanding goodness from the world, you find it by embodying it. Or as Marcus Aurelius put it, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one.